My friend, I want you to hear me with all the strength of your heart, for the words I am about to speak are not words to entertain, but words that carry the weight of eternity. Right now, you are in a battle. You may feel the heat of the struggle pressing against your chest, the weight of worry tightening around your mind, and the shadows of fear whispering that you will not make it through. But I stand before you to declare something that will shake the very ground beneath your feet. This battle you are in, this storm that has risen against you, this weight that has tried to break you, it is not your battle to fight. God is fighting for you. The Almighty, the creator of the heavens and the earth, has already stepped onto the battlefield, and when he moves, nothing can stand in his way. You may feel small, you may feel powerless, you may look at the size of your enemies and see no chance of victory. But what you see is not the final word. God has the final word. What you cannot do, he can. What you cannot see, he sees. What you cannot overcome, he has already defeated. And when God fights for you, no enemy has the power to stand. No mountain is too high, no valley too deep, no darkness too heavy, for the one who spoke light into existence fights on your behalf. So many of you have been carrying battles that were never yours to carry. You have been trying to solve problems with your own strength, to climb mountains with your own hands, to silence storms with your own voice. And all the while God has been saying, stand still. Be still. Watch what I will do for you. The reason you are weary, the reason you feel like you cannot take another step, is because you have been trying to fight what belongs to God. You are swinging at shadows. You are exhausting yourself against forces that bow only to the command of the Almighty. And today, God is calling you to lay down your weapons and trust him to fight. The enemy wants you to believe that you are alone. He wants you to think that you are outnumbered, that no one sees, that no one cares. He wants to convince you that you are powerless, forgotten, abandoned. But hear this, God has not left you, not for a single moment. God has not abandoned you to the wolves. He has not thrown you to the lions. God is standing with you in the fire, and he has declared that the flames will not consume you. He is standing with you in the flood, and he has promised the waters will not drown you. He is fighting battles on your behalf that you do not even see, protecting you from dangers you never even knew were near. You may say, but the pain is real. The fear is heavy. The situation looks impossible. And yes, in your eyes it is impossible. But God is not limited by impossibility. The word impossible is a word for men, not for God. When he speaks, doors open that no man can shut. When he raises his hand, armies crumble and giants fall. When he declares victory, no force in the universe can overturn it. What is impossible for you is already finished for him. This is why you must stop measuring your future by the size of your problem and start measuring it by the size of your God. If you keep your eyes on the problem will grow bigger. But if you lift your eyes to God, your problem will shrink in the shadow of his greatness. You are not meant to stand trembling before giants. You are meant to stand strong in the knowledge that the one who created those giants has power over them. Some of you are listening right now, and you have been fighting battles in your home. You have been fighting for peace, fighting for hope, fighting to keep your family together. And you have been doing everything you know how to do, but it feels like the harder you fight, the more the enemy presses in. I want you to hear me. The outcome does not depend on your strength. The outcome depends on God's power. When you step back and let Him take the field, when you stop relying on your own arm and trust the arm of the Almighty, then and only then will you see victory. Others of you have been fighting battles in your mind. Thoughts that won't leave you alone. Fear that rises in the middle of the night. Anxiety that grips you by the throat. Lies that whisper in your ear day after day. And you have tried to silence those voices, but they keep screaming louder. You have tried to fight with reason, with logic, with willpower, but the battle has not ended. And that is because this is not a battle of logic. It is a battle of spirit. Only God has the power to silence the voice of fear. Only God can calm the storm inside your soul. Only God can bring peace to a restless mind. And there are some of you who feel crushed by battles of loss, of rejection, of a loneliness. You wake up in the morning and wonder if you can make it through another day. You go to bed at night and feel the ache of emptiness pressing down on your chest. You wonder if anyone truly sees you, if anyone truly cares. Let me tell you, God sees. God knows. God cares. And He is not just watching from a distance. He is stepping into your pain, into your loneliness, into your heartbreak, and He is fighting to carry you through it. You may not feel it, but He is closer than the breath in your lungs. Do not let the weight of the battle deceive you into thinking you have been abandoned. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. God has marked you as His own, and when the Almighty marks someone, no enemy can erase that mark. You belong to Him, and because you belong to Him, your battles belong to Him as well. This is why the wisest thing you can do today is to surrender. Not to your enemies, not to your fear, and not to your circumstances, but to God. Surrender the fight into His hands. Surrender the outcome into His hands. Stop carrying the weight that was never yours to carry. Stop fighting wars that were never yours to win. Step aside and let the one who never loses take over. Because when God fights, He does not fight to survive. He fights to conquer. He does not fight for a draw. He fights for complete victory. And when He declares victory over your life, no enemy can stand against it. The greatest mistake many make in the heat of battle is to believe that the outcome depends on them. They believe that if they just push harder, if they just fight longer, if they just try one more strategy, they will finally prevail. But do you not see, my friend, that this is the very trap that steals your strength? The enemy wants you exhausted. He wants you fighting in your own might because he knows that as long as you fight alone, you are limited. But the moment you recognize that the Almighty is on your side, the moment you step aside and let Him fight for you, then the battle turns. Then victory is assured because God cannot lose. And think about it. Do you know why the enemy tries so hard to convince you that you are fighting alone? It is because he knows the truth. He knows that if you ever open your eyes to the reality that God Himself is fighting on your behalf, He will have no more power over you. He knows that the very moment you believe God's strength is greater than your weakness, He must flee. So He lies, He distorts, He magnifies your problems until they look bigger than they are. But truth does not change. And the truth is, this God is fighting for you. When God fights, He does not fight with hesitation. He does not weigh the odds. He does not calculate chances. He fights with certainty, with power, with authority. He commands the winds and they obey. He speaks to the seas and they grow calm. He calls the stars by name and they shine without fail. This same God, the one who holds the galaxies in His hand, has taken up your cause. And if the one who created all things is fighting for you, then who or what could ever stand against you? You may be standing in the middle of the storm right now. The winds are howling, the waves are crashing, and everything in you wants to run. But God is not asking you to run. He is not asking you to fight with your fists. He is asking you to trust Him. He is asking you to be still long enough to see that His power is greater than the chaos that surrounds you. And when you put your trust in Him, when you stand firm instead of panicking, you will see what you could not see before. The mighty hand of God breaking through the darkness and making a way where there was no way. Some of you feel surrounded right now. The enemy is pressing in from every side. Your resources are running out. Your strength is failing. Your hope is slipping. But do you not know that being surrounded is not the end? Sometimes it is the very setup for God to reveal His glory. When you have nowhere left to run, when every door has closed, when every plan has failed, then the only one left to rely on is God. And when God steps in, He turns the impossible into reality. He takes the very thing the enemy meant to destroy you and uses it to elevate you. He takes the very trap laid for you and turns it into a testimony of His power. Listen closely. When you hand your battle to God, you do not hand it to weakness, you hand it to strength. You do not give it to uncertainty, you give it to absolute authority. And when His authority enters the scene, everything shifts. Tremble, mountains move. Chains break, doors open. Not because of who you are, but because of who He is. There is a freedom that comes when you finally understand that the fight does not depend on you. You can stop carrying the burden of control. You can stop worrying about the outcome. You can stop tormenting yourself with questions of what if. You can stop replaying every scenario in your mind, because the outcome rests in the hands of the Almighty, and His hands do not fail. He does not miscalculate. He does not make mistakes. He does not lose battles. And do not think for a moment that the God fights for you because you are perfect, or because you have never stumbled, or because you have never doubted. No. He fights for you because you belong to Him. He fights for you because He has chosen you. And when He chooses, He does not abandon. The world may forsake you. People may walk away. Friends may turn their backs. But God remains, God stands, God holds, and His commitment to you is not fragile, it is unshakable. Do not let the size of the battlefield make you forget the size of your defender. Do not let the noise of the enemy drown out the quiet voice of God reminding you that He is in control. Do not let fear paralyze you into thinking you are defeated when the fight has already been decided in your favor. Lift your eyes, my friend. Lift your eyes above the chaos, above the noise, above the fear, and see the Almighty standing as a shield around you. And when He fights, He does not just fight to protect you from the present. He fights to secure your future. He does not simply push back the enemy of today. He clears the path for the victory of tomorrow. You are not just surviving this battle, you are being prepared for greater things. The struggle you feel now is shaping you, strengthening you, positioning you. God does not allow battles to break you. He allows them to reveal His strength through you. There comes a time in every life when the weight of the battle grows heavier than the strength of the fighter. You may be there right now. You may be waking up each day wondering how much longer you can keep standing, how much longer you can keep pretending you are strong when inside you feel like breaking. But this is the very moment where God steps in. When you have reached the end of yourself, you have reached the beginning of His power. When you have no fight left, He becomes your fighter. When your arms are too weary to lift, His arm does not grow weary. When your voice trembles, His voice thunders across the battlefield with authority that no enemy can silence. The truth is, God allows you to come to the end of yourself so that you will see what you could not see before. That victory has never depended on you. It has always depended on Him. He allows you to face battles bigger than yourself so that you will know, without a shadow of doubt, that it was His power, not your own, that brought you through. And when you stand on the other side, when the storm has passed and the dust has settled, you will not boast in your strength, but in the greatness of your God. Some of you have been asking, why has this battle lasted so long? Why hasn't it ended yet? Why does the struggle continue? And the answer is not because God has forgotten you, but because He is doing something deeper in you. He is not only defeating the enemy in front of you, He is also preparing you for the victories ahead. He is teaching you trust. He is shaping your faith. He is building in you a strength that will not crumble when greater challenges arise. You see only the battle, but God sees the future. He knows what is coming, and He is making sure that when you arrive there, you will stand unshaken. Let me tell you something you may not want to hear, but must understand. Sometimes the greatest battle you face is not the enemy outside of you, but the doubt within you that says, maybe God won't show up this time, and maybe this is where I fall. Maybe this time I won't make it through. But hear me, doubt is a thief. It steals your peace. It blinds your vision. It ties your hands. And the way you defeat doubt is not by pretending to be strong. It is by clinging to the truth of God's power. Every time doubt whispers that you are alone, remind yourself that God has promised never to leave you. Every time fear tells you the end is near, remind yourself that God has already written your future. Every time despair tries to crush you, remind yourself that God is greater than anything set against you. Do you not know that your enemy trembles at the sound of God's name? He knows he cannot withstand the one who fights for you. He knows that when God rises, his schemes collapse, his armies scatter, his plans turn to dust. And so he works overtime to keep you distracted, to keep you wary, to keep you focused on your weakness instead of God's strength. But once your eyes shift from the problem to the Almighty, once your heart declares, this is not my battle, this is God's, then everything changes. The enemy loses his grip because you are no longer fighting in your own power. You are standing under the banner of the one who has never lost. Let me give you this truth. You are not defined by the size of your battle. You are defined by the greatness of your God. Your identity is not found in your struggle. It is found in His strength. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are under the protection of the Almighty. Stop calling yourself defeated when God calls you victorious. Stop labeling yourself broken when God is the healer. Stop bowing to fear when God has declared Himself as your shield. And listen to me, that the very battle you are facing now is going to become the testimony that strengthens others. Because when people see that you stood in the fire and did not burn, when they see that you passed through the waters and did not drown, when they see that you faced the storm and yet remained standing, they will know it was not your strength, it was God's. And they will be encouraged to trust Him with their battles too. Your struggle today is the seed of someone else's faith tomorrow. This is why you must not give up. Do not lay down in defeat. When God is fighting for you, do not let the weight of the moment blind you to the truth of eternity. Do not let temporary pain convince you that the story ends here. God is still writing your story, and the pen is in his hand, not the enemy's. He does not write stories of defeat. He writes stories of deliverance. He does not write endings of despair. He writes endings of hope. He does not abandon his people in the middle of the battle. He fights until the victory is complete. There are battles that rage in silence, battles no one else can see. You walk into a room with a smile on your face, but inside your heart is trembling. You show strength on the outside, but inside your soul is crying out for help. And sometimes you wonder, does anyone see what I am going through? Does anyone know the weight I carry in the secret places of my heart? Hear me, God sees. He does not just see the battles fought in the open. He sees the wars you fight in the quiet corners of your soul. He hears the cries you do not dare speak out loud. He knows the tears that fall on your pillow at night. And he is not indifferent to your pain. He is already moving on your behalf. Do not be deceived into thinking that God is distant. He is not far from your struggle. He is present in the very middle of it. He does not wait on the sidelines, watching to see if you will make it through. No, he steps into the battle with you. He surrounds you with his presence. He strengthens you with his power. And he fights off enemies you do not even realize are near. Some of the greatest victories of your life are the ones you will never see, because God fought battles in the unseen, protecting you before the danger ever reached you. And let me tell you something powerful. The reason you are still standing today, the reason you have not been destroyed, is because God has been fighting for you all along. If the enemy had his way, you would have been defeated long ago. If he had his way, your mind would have collapsed under the weight of fear. Your heart would have broken under the pressure of pain. Your life would have been swallowed by despair. But God said no. God raised his hand as a shield and declared, "This one belongs to me." That is why you are still here. That is why you are still breathing. That is why you still have hope even when everything around you has tried to extinguish it. And do you not realize that the enemy is not fighting you because of your weakness? He is fighting you because of your destiny. He sees what God has placed inside you. He sees the future God has written for you. He sees the light you carry, the purpose you were created for. And he knows that if you ever step fully into the power of God's plan, you will shake the very foundations of darkness. So he fights to discourage you. He fights to distract you. He fights to make you give up before you reach what God has promised. But do not be deceived. The battle is not a sign of your defeat. It is a sign of your significance. The greater the opposition, the greater the purpose God has placed over your life. You may ask, if God is fighting for me, why do I still feel the struggle? Why do I still face opposition? Because, my friend, the victory does not always come by removing the battle. It comes by proving God's power in the middle of it. If God removed every challenge before it reached you, you would never know the depth of his strength. You would never see the fullness of his protection. You would never realize how mighty he is until you see him fight and win on your behalf. It is in the heat of the battle that his glory is revealed. It is in the midnight hour that his light shines brightest. It is in the place where you feel weakest that his strength becomes undeniable. And this is why you must not despise the battle. Yes, it is painful. Yes, it tests every fiber of your being. But it is also the place where God reveals himself most powerfully. The battle is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to display him. It is not meant to end you. It is meant to elevate you. It is not meant to silence your voice. It is meant to amplify his glory through your life. Think of it this way: the deeper the valley, the greater the miracle when you are lifted out. The stronger the storm, the louder the testimony when the skies clear. The fiercer the enemy, the greater the triumph when he falls. Do not measure your future by the intensity of your present struggle. Measure it by the certainty that God is fighting for you, and he does not fight in vain. And let me speak this truth directly to your heart. Stop living as though you are defeated. Stop walking with your head bowed down, as if the battle is already lost. God has not called you to cower in fear. He has called you to stand in faith. He has not brought you this far to abandon you now. He has not lifted you from the pit only to throw you back into chains. He has not carried you through storms only to let you drown at the shore. If God has begun fighting for you, he will finish what he started. He will not leave the battle halfway won. He will bring you through to complete victory. There are moments when the battlefield feels endless, when you wonder if you will ever taste rest again. But I want you to see something that will change the way you look at your struggle. God never enters a battle halfway. When he rises to fight for you, he does not stop until victory is complete. He does not settle for partial deliverance. He secures the outcome with finality. And that is why you cannot give up in the middle of the fight. If God has begun, he will finish. If he has spoken, he will perform. If he has lifted his hand in your defense, then not one weapon formed against you will prosper. You may not understand the timing. You may wonder why the victory has not come today, why the breakthrough has not yet arrived. But God's timing is perfect. He does not act a moment too soon, and he does not wait a second too long. Sometimes he holds the battle longer than you wish, not because he has forgotten you, but because he is positioning everything for a greater outcome than you imagine. While you are crying for immediate relief, he is building a testimony that will not only deliver you, but inspire countless others. He is shaping a victor that will echo through your life and prove that he alone is God. And hear me. God does not just fight for you. He fights with precision. He knows exactly where the enemy's weakness lies. He knows how to dismantle strategies you cannot see. He knows how to break chains you did not even realize were binding you. He is not like men who swing wildly in the dark, hoping to strike a blow. No, he strikes with accuracy. He sees the beginning from the end, and when he fights with wisdom beyond human comprehension. So why do you fear? Why do you tremble at the sight of the enemy? Do you not know who stands at your side? The same God who parted seas, who calms storms, who brings life out of barren ground. That God is the one who has taken your battle into his hands. And if he commands the earth and sky, do you not believe he can command the outcome of your fight? If he governs the rise and fall of nations, do you not think he governs the rise and fall of your enemies? If he holds the stars in their place, do you not believe he holds your life secure in his hands? Some of you have been praying and waiting, and the silence of God has made you doubt his presence. But silence does not mean absence. Silence is often the sign that he is working in ways unseen. The most powerful battles are not always loud. Sometimes they are fought in the quiet, in the unseen places where God rearranges circumstances, shifts hearts, and prepares the victory that will unfold in His perfect time. Do not mistake His quietness for indifference. He is nearer than you think, moving with purpose, aligning every piece, ensuring that when the moment comes, your victory will be undeniable. And let me speak to the weary soul, the one who feels they have no strength left to endure. God has not asked you to carry this weight. He has not asked you to fight with empty hands. He has asked you only to trust, to stand, to believe. The weight you feel pressing on your shoulders is not yours to carry. Lay it down. Release it into His hands. The outcome does not depend on how strong you are. It depends on how faithful He is. And He has never failed. I want you to see something powerful. That battles are not just places of struggle, they are places of revelation. In the battle, you see aspects of God you would never have known otherwise. You discover His power when your strength fails. You discover His protection when danger surrounds you. You discover His faithfulness when everything else collapses. And when you come through, you will know Him in ways you never knew Him before. The battle that threatened to destroy you will become the very place where your relationship with God deepened, where your trust grew unshakable, where your faith became anchored. Do not despise this season. Do not curse the battle. What feels like your breaking point is often the very ground where God is building your future. What looks like the place of your defeat, the place where His glory will shine the brightest. The enemy may think he has cornered you, but God has already written a way of escape. The enemy may think he has stolen from you, but God will restore in greater measure. The enemy may think he has silenced you, but God will amplify your voice with testimony and truth. There are times when the weight you are carrying feels too heavy for your shoulders. Times when you wake up in the middle of the night wondering how much longer you can endure. But hear this truth: God never intended for you to carry the burden alone. The battle that is before you is not yours, it belongs to God. And when you begin to realize that, your spirit will find rest. For you are not fighting by your own strength, and you are not standing on fragile ground. You are standing on the unshakable foundation of the Almighty God, who commands the winds, who speaks to the seas, and who controls every outcome under the heavens. When storms rise against you, they may roar and crash, but they cannot overthrow the one who holds dominion over them. When enemies surround you, they may threaten and scheme, but they cannot overcome the power of God, who sets a hedge of protection around those who trust in Him. The reason you still stand today, after all that has been hurled against you, is not because you are strong enough, but because God has held you in His hands. The reason you have survived battles that others thought would destroy you is because God has been fighting for you all along. Do not be deceived by appearances. You may see giants in your path, towering circumstances that seem impossible to overcome, but giants fall when God steps onto the battlefield. You may see walls standing in your way, high and impenetrable, but walls crumble when God declares victory. You may see chains that have bound you for years, but chains are nothing before the God who breaks them with a word. This is why you must not despair. For every obstacle before you is already known by God, and every challenge is already met with His plan of deliverance. So, do not measure your future by your weakness. Do not measure the outcome by your limited strength. Measure it by the greatness of God. If you were fighting this alone, you would have reason to tremble. If you were relying on your own understanding, you would have reason to doubt. But when the battle belongs to God, the outcome is secure, the end is already written, and the victory is certain. What you see as the breaking of your spirit may be the very moment God is lifting you into His power. What you thought was your end may be the beginning of God's greatest work in your life. The reason you must surrender the battle to God is because He knows what you cannot see. You see the enemy in front of you, but God sees the snares hidden in the shadows. You see the storm, but God sees the rainbow waiting behind the clouds. You see the pain of this moment, but God sees the promise beyond the pain. He sees the outcome from the beginning. And when you trust Him, you are placing your life in the hands of the one who never loses. And I tell you today, no one who places their trust in God will ever be abandoned. You may feel abandoned in the middle of the storm, but feelings are not the truth. The truth is that God is closer than the breath in your lungs. The truth is that God walks with you when no one else will. The truth is that while others may turn their backs, God never forsakes those who call upon Him. His faithfulness is not fragile, it is unbreakable. His promises are not uncertain, they are eternal. When fear whispers in your ear that you cannot win, remember that God has already declared victory. When doubt tells you that you will fall, remember that God upholds you with His mighty hand. When the world tells you that you are defeated, remember that God has the final word. His word is life, strength, and triumph. Your role is not to fight in your own power, but to stand firm, to trust, and to allow God to do what only He can do. The truth is this: surrender is not weakness. When you surrender to God, it is the greatest act of strength. For when you stop striving in your own power, you make room for the limitless power of God to move. When you lay down your weapons of worry and fear, a God raises up His shield of protection and His sword of victory on your behalf. And when you step back and trust, you will witness battles won in ways you could never have orchestrated yourself. Look back at your life and remember. Was it your wisdom that carried you through the darkest nights? Was it your strength that saved you from dangers unseen? Was it your ability that lifted you out of the pit? No, it was God. It has always been God. And the same God who brought you through before is the same God who will carry you through again. He does not grow weary. He does not change. And He does not abandon His own. And now I speak to your heart with the full weight of truth. You do not have to keep fighting as if you are alone. You do not have to keep carrying the weight that bends your back and breaks your spirit. For God has already taken this battle into His own hands. The same God who formed the mountains, who hung the stars in the heavens, who parts the seas and commands the winds. He is the one who fights for you. And when God fights for you, there is no power in earth or in the unseen that can overthrow His decree. Lift your head, for you are not defeated. Wipe your tears, for your weeping will not last forever. Strengthen your heart, for the dawn is nearer than you think. God has written your story, and the final chapter is not destruction. It is victory. The enemies that mocked you will see you rise. The storms that tried to drown you will only water the seeds of your growth. The chains that tried to hold you will break before the mighty hand of God. So do not give up in this hour. Do not surrender to despair. Surrender instead to God who never fails. Lay your fears at His feet. Place your trust in His promise. walk forward, even if you do not yet see the way, because God himself is making the way. And when the victory comes, and it surely will, let it be known that it was not by your might, nor by your power, but by the hand of Almighty God. For this battle was never yours, it has always been his. And when he fights for you, you are already more than a conqueror. Stand in that truth, live in that confidence, and walk in that victory. Because God is with you, and if God is for you, nothing can stand against you.